was a time in this country, a long time ago, when reading wasn't just for fags, and neither was writing. People wrote books and movies that had stories, so you cared whose ass it was and why it was farting, and I believe that time can come again.
Hello and welcome to the Think Liberty podcast. I am Kristen Stewart, and I just had some chicken that made me nauseous. This is episode 49. On this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on tomorrow in the midterms. So normally we record these on Sundays, and then we let them loose on Tuesdays. This was a little bit different. We had a bit of a mix-up. So we ended up recording this just the day before the midterm elections are coming up, and we figured that'd be a good topic to jump into since it's going to be relevant when this publishes tomorrow. I do just want to let you know that things got off a little weird audio-wise with this podcast, so it's going to start in what probably sounds like a little bit of the middle of a conversation. Our guest on this episode is Amos Joseph from the newly added podcast Shitlord Preachers onto the Think Liberty Network, Caitlin Cloven, and TJ Eckert, writer and contributor from Being Libertarian. So, with all of that said, we're just going to jump right into it. This is episode 49. Before we get into that, before we get into the races going on here, I do want to touch on something. So, TJ, you mentioned something. This has been like a hot topic, at least on Liberty Book here lately, is whether or not you're even voting in the first place. Now, TJ, you said you weren't going to vote. Why don't you unpack that a little bit and tell us why?
I don't vote, partially because your vote is useless, in my opinion. It's the equivalent of buying a Powerball ticket and thinking that that's an actual way to change the world. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just put all my eggs in this basket and I'll just buy this Powerball ticket and that's it. And it's like, oh sweet, your odds are about the same, and chances are even if you win, you still lose. I mean, how many times have we voted? I don't know about you, but in your lifetime, when you vote for somebody that does win and then it doesn't change anyways. So people like to say your vote matters, but even if my vote did matter and it changed an entire election, it's between two losers. So I just don't vote.
That's fair enough. Do you vote on now I don't know how things are out where you're at. Do you vote on local stuff? Do you guys have propositions and stuff like that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I used to vote. I lived out in a rural part of Ohio, and I used to vote on the local issues, because I actually knew the council members. I was planning on running for council myself. So I knew a lot of the guys, and I used to vote on local issues, but I just moved last month. So I actually don't know much about the issues. So I'm going to sit this one out completely. So.
Okay. Fair enough. But you would if you knew a little bit more about, like you're saying, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I've only been in this new place like a month, not even. So haven't gotten up to the local issues, but I'm sure they're great. I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Everything's beautiful there.
I see a lot of yard signs that say issue whatever. This is not a tax, like on the bottom, and I'm like, yeah, definitely not voting for that shit. This is not a tax.
Just got to make sure.
Yeah, anytime someone says this is not a tax, you're like, okay, it's a tax.
Yeah, there's a right. When someone tells you that it's not, okay, so why is it that thing then? Okay, so before we get into it, we're going to talk about what's going on and what to expect with these midterms. But first, let's go ahead. I'm going to play a little clip that I have here from ABC where, I guess to set the stage for anyone, I don't know, maybe if you're living under a rock, here's kind of what's going on as far as the national dialogue goes with what's going I guess the opinion really of where we're at with these midterms and what exactly they mean.
All 435 House seats are up for grabs, and Democrats need to pick up 23 to take control for the first time in 8 years. In the Senate, a much different story. The Democrats are on defense. They need to gain 2 seats, but they could lose even more. And across the country, we will also be keeping a close eye on 36 governor's races. This election could be historic with the potential for massive voter turnout. 80% of registered voters in our new ABC News Washington Post poll saying they're certain to vote or have already voted. That's compared to 65% back in 2014.
So one of the biggest stories, like he said, right, getting right out there, is talking about the turnout. It's supposed to be crazy turnout. Like, so a lot of the I don't know, like about you guys, like in California, you can mail in your ballot. So a lot of people have been doing that, and they're talking about like some pretty insane turnouts. Is that the case for where you guys are at as well?
I'd say, yeah, that tends to be the case here in Minnesota. I think from what I've read before, Minnesota has some of the highest voter turnout rates in general across the country. Do we really? I've heard we're like in the 70% range.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Whereas you have like states like, you keep hearing about like Larry Sharp talk about how there's a 30% turnout rate in New York. Some of these other states are pretty much in between that. So,
is it just because like most of the state is over the age of 65? It seems like people over that age vote a lot.
I mean, it could be something about that. I mean, I don't know if about a low population could be part of that too. So,
that makes sense.
I feel like the people that age vote a lot. They got 60-year-olds are voting so fucking hard.
Hey, their vote counts, you know?
Yeah. Are there any races that you guys are paying attention to more than others?
You guys seen what's going on with the Florida governor race? Kind of has me a little bit nervous.
With Gillum?
Not gonna lie. Whatever. Yeah, Gillum and DeSantis. Yeah, that's only because it seems at this point by the early votes that Gillum's going to win. And I don't know if you've seen his platform, but he is, like, when it comes to like leftists, holy crap, he seems pretty radical.
Yeah. There's like, there is like, man, did you guys see that like clip where like someone from his own camp was like, yeah, this guy is like an extreme leftist?
Yeah, that was what was that sting operation that they were I can't think of the name, the guy that always does that. But yeah, I was asking, he's like, oh, so he's like a radical? And he's like, oh man, he's a radical among radicals. Yeah, he's a hardcore leftist. Like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. They're like openly just admitting this.
Yeah, well, because they were talking about extremists, right? And he was like, yeah, so the right has its extremists and the left has its extremists, right? And he was like talking about, you got these right-wing extremists that are like totally crazy, and you have these like left-wing progressives. They're the extremists. And they were like, wait a minute, doesn't... And he was like a campaign manager for Gillum or something. He's like, hey, wait, doesn't Gillum consider himself a progressive? Would you call him an extremist? He's like, oh, he's totally a left-wing extremist. It's like, oh, this is good. This is great.
Yeah, I'm afraid that if he wins, Florida might lose its nickname as the Gunshine State. Man, it very well may. Have you? I haven't heard about a lot of this guy's policies, but if he's of that ilk, I can only assume, it's going to come with all of the stuff that those usually come with, right? Yeah. Is it safe to say we can just blame all the boomers that live down there, that like retire there? Like it's all their fault, right?
It might not just be all the boomers though, right? Like, isn't that that whole thing there, David Hogg's whole crap?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have kind of a radicalized youth now after the Parkland shooting. It's probably going to help get the Democrat in office.
Yeah, this is why you just don't have kids.
So they don't grow up.
Point taken. All right.
Don't have kids because they might grow up and vote for Gillum.
Or just they might vote. Like, you might have kids that grow up and vote. Like,
Yeah, don't have kids because one day they might partake in politics. And
this wasn't worth the struggle.
No one wants that.
I mean, it'd definitely be interesting to look into to see what is the turnout rate in the youth following certain like events that are close to elections. Like
well, that's kind of what that's kind of what the Democrats have going for them. Their marketing is something to be modeled after. Like they're very, very good at marketing and targeting these groups that have these pet issues that they care about. And I think we're going to see like record number of youth turnout for Democrats, at least. I don't know about conservatives. I mean, they kind of suck at marketing outside of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I would agree. Donald Trump is an anomaly as far as Republicans go. Like, Democrats have a crappy platform that they run on. But one thing they are fantastic at is rallying up a base, getting emotional, an emotional frenzy going, and just drawing people out. I would absolutely agree.
Trump just gets up there, starts talking about walls. People get fucking stoked.
I mean, he is pretty good at marketing. He
talks about nothing. Like, I was watching the rally in Missouri earlier, and for 5 minutes straight, he just talked about how he was in Missouri and he loved Missouri, and he was in Ohio earlier and he loves Ohio, but he loves Missouri more. And that's all he said of anything substance for 5 minutes straight. Yeah.
He said that, huh? Wow, fuck that guy. I was stuck in his traffic earlier today. When he shut down the highways in Ohio, I was stuck in that stuff. And I was like,
stuck in his traffic.
Trump's not so bad.
He apparently likes Cape Girardeau, Missouri more. I don't know why. There's nothing.
Who on earth would like that?
Nobody. I'm from Missouri. I don't even like it.
Brutality.
Cleveland's pretty cool. It ain't bad.
Caught in a lie. How dare he? Fucking guy. Okay, so speaking of Trump, I have another clip here. This is I have two takes. These are both a day before the election. I think these were either uploaded yesterday or this morning. And we'll start with Fox News, and I say that because it's got a little bit of Trump here talking about what he sees coming from these midterms. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that now.
Fox News alert. In the final hours before voters head to the polls, President Trump's hitting the campaign trail harder than ever as he tries to tip key toss-up races with a flurry of rallies in 3 states. Hours ago in Cleveland, the president fired up the crowd by drilling down on what's at stake for our country.
Everything we have created and achieved is at stake on Election Day. It is. If the radical Democrats take power, they will take a wrecking ball to our economy. A vote for Republicans is a vote to continue our extraordinary prosperity, our extraordinary journey together. A vote for Democrats is a vote to bring this economic boom crashing to a sudden halt. The Democrat agenda is a socialist nightmare for our country.
Big words.
That's amazing.
Big words. You know what, though?
Both sides, though, they're like, if you don't vote for us, then everyone's going to die. Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. And once you're like out, once you actually take a step back, I mean, how do people buy that stuff? I mean, really, like, it is just the most base fear mongering ever.
Well, it works though because everyone thinks about politics and emotional. Like they just get very emotional about the issues. I mean, why they would do it that way instead of just talking about the issues objectively? Like, hey, so here's one way of doing things. I think this would work better. It's like, no, if we don't do it this way, everyone dies. Like
the happy solution. Yeah,
that does tend to that is a bit of a head turner.
Yeah.
Wait, did that guy just say we're dying? Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Vote or you're dead. That's it.
They should call tomorrow any sort of news segment. They should just call it tomorrow on fascism versus communism.
Right. Wasn't there a slogan one time where it was literally like vote or something?
What was it? Vote or die?
I could have swore there was like a slogan that somebody put out, and it was at one point they literally said "vote or die." Like it was just like a campaign slogan to get the vote out.
I feel like
didn't they put it on an Uncle Sam poster?
No, you know what?
I want to say MTV rolled with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. MTV. Like I feel like I remember Puff Daddy, like holding, like wearing a vote or die button or like a sticker or something like that. I think that was an MTV thing. I do remember that. Yeah.
Man, and if that doesn't just scream, no hysteria coming from that side. Nope, no hysteria whatsoever.
Right, like it's one of those things too. So, like I've used this metaphor before, maybe on the podcast before, but I'm not sure. But like, it's the same kind of thing like we have going on now. That like, okay, so let's say like you're together, and TJ. Let's pretend you have kids, right? And it's like you have your kids, and there's like this group of adults, right? And some like the kids want to go to the park. And there's only so many adults, and it's like, okay, who wants to go to the park with the kids? And right, so the first uncle that raises his hand, he's fucking out. You know, like the person that wants to watch the kids, you're not watching the kids, right? You want to get someone else to do it, and I feel like it's kind of the same way when it comes to politics, right? When the people are like, you need to go out there and you need to vote so our team can win. Like the first thing I think is like, I'm not sure I want your team to win, and it's kind of the same.
It's like let's I'm trying to dial back the hysteria in this country. So if you're coming at me with this like, dude, we're all gonna die, I'm like, you are not getting my vote. Oof, you are just securing my definitely staying home tomorrow.
Yeah, like my confidence in not giving you any of what you're looking for. What was it, Lindsey Graham that said like, oh boy, do you want power and I hope you never get it or something like that when he was doing his thing. I think like that. I think that's about right. That's about how I feel too. These people coming up, and like the Kavanaugh thing, man. We covered that on the podcast the other day. But what is it? 2 people now? 2 of the people that had allegations haven't now come forward and said that they just did it because they wanted attention.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And we reward this kind of shit without any investigation.
Well, look at the.
I know, who'd have thought getting rid of the presumption of innocence would like affect society at all? I mean, when has that ever done anyone any good?
Right.
What a concept.
Well, look at that Ford woman, right? And so she came out and she had her stuff, all of her allegations that nothing could be corroborated, nothing could be proven. And now she's got like a book deal, which I think is hilarious because it's like, who is going to ask someone to write a book that can't remember anything? First of all. And,
guys, she sacrificed everything.
I know.
Yeah, right. I don't know about you guys. I'm trying to hitch my wagon to hers. I'm emailing her right now. Like, yo, you need someone to read your audiobook? I got you.
Right. And wasn't she like when she's
trying to make some money?
She's at the podium and people are talking about how she sacrificed everything, and she's sitting on like a gigantic GoFundMe account, right? Like how much did she raise? Like something insane.
She raised over $500,000. And so did
sacrifice shit. She sacrificed possibly her reputation for the next 2 years until people completely forget about it. And she won't care because she's sitting on $500,000 plus a book deal. She didn't sacrifice shit.
I mean, she was already wealthy beforehand. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't she like
I'm pretty sure she
college
was,
professor or something like that? And
something like that. I don't remember what exactly it was, but yeah, she had a
PhD, so she had to have some.
She wasn't exactly struggling.
I don't know if a PhD necessarily means a lot these days, but she did.
But I mean, she was actually a doctor of something, so,
right? Whatever position she had, it did sound like a prestigious one. I remember hearing that, thinking
it is astounding, though. I mean, as libertarians, we're always talking about the ability of private charity. Doesn't it just make you want to rip your hair out when you see like people telling you, the same people that are like, we can't feed the poor because there's not enough charity? Those are the same people that turn around and give $500,000 to someone like her, and then another $500,000 to Kavanaugh. And it's like, what? Why are you giving these rich people more money? And then you're turning around and telling me that we can't feed poor people? Are you serious?
Because rich people have too much money. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No one's going to pay any charity. Taxes are the price we pay for a civilized society. No one is going to willingly contribute to anything like that. By the way, I'm going to go pay the NRA a whole bunch of money.
Well, what I don't understand was like, what was that money for?
Like, lawyer fees and stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
Wasn't everyone like representing her for free because they wanted to take down?
Yeah, no,
yeah, and the publicity would be fantastic. But like, I want to scream with a bullhorn and just be like, "These people vote? Are you serious? These people vote? Oh my God!"
Yeah, all that stuff was like a lot of her legal stuff was pro bono, totally. So she just, I mean, that money went straight to, on top of whatever she got for her book deal, I'm sure.
So a little bit off topic, but can I just ask you guys this, since we were talking about midterm races?
It would be weird if you did it now.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, what do we got to bring up that one.
She's gonna win.
Probably. She probably will. Yeah.
The high priestess of statism.
She terrifies me, to be completely honest with you. She's a terrifying candidate because it's for one. I mean, I feel like everybody and their mother on a podcast has covered why they don't think her policies are great. So I'll go ahead and leave that one. We've already done a podcast. We've done a couple podcasts on her, so everyone knows what I think about her policy. But the thing that's the scariest about her is she has so much support.
She has so much support, and she's positively misinformed on so much. She's not just uninformed. She is positively misinformed.
But she's young, and she's charming. She's pretty, and she's got that grassroots game on lock. So she's going to win.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what she says. Like, you see her go on these like late night shows and stuff, and she just spouts nonsense. And even the hosts who are leftists are like, wait, are you sure about those stats? Or like, how are you going to pay for this stuff?
Yeah, unemployment's low because people are working 2 jobs. Everyone knows that.
Oh my God! And she went on Cuomo's show, and he was giving her that face. Like his face already kind of looks like. I mean, yeah. So like as it is, he's just got like kind of one of those faces.
That guy's the Deion Sanders of retards.
Like. At least, I didn't say it. The sound clip did. But yeah, he's just got that face. But then when she came on, he had that face like even harder. Like he was trying so hard to be respectful, but at the same time, he was very confused. I don't know if you guys saw that. She was going on about something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I wish I did. Was he given like a second rate?
It was good. I think it was about.
Yeah, he was.
I think it was about Medicare.
I don't.
Yeah, I think she was talking about Medicare whenever he made that face.
She like the female Frankenstein of gender studies or something.
You always got to bring it there. No, but so what's interesting about her, and it's interesting about Beto too. I'm just going to play a clip that kind of goes into it since we're talking about the midterms coming up. I think the Beto race and the whole thing going on in Texas is pretty relevant. It's a lot closer than I think a lot of people had expected it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and play a clip I have here from CBS that talks a little bit about that. And then I want to talk about something they bring up here near the end. So here goes that clip.
Specific races, starting with the big one, Ted Cruz's Senate seat. El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke is looking to unseat the first-term senator. Is a Democratic senator really possible in 2018 Texas?
There is a lot of hope and many years of talking about turning Texas blue. A lot of them have talked about it maybe in later election years, not this time around. But again, you have the president who O'Rourke has not been shy about railing against on the campaign trail. He's been on the campaign trail a long time. He's outraised the sitting senator a few different times now. And if you look at the breakdowns of those fundraising totals, it's from several thousand individual donors. O'Rourke, we know, has vowed not to take money from political action committees, which we know Cruz has taken money from. And so the fact that he's out raising them without that being a factor says something.
Okay, so we have that now. I think this is interesting, and I know that TJ and I don't have the same opinion on this, but so we're talking about campaign and financing here. And this is interesting. So this is something that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is doing, and this is something that Beto is doing too. Something that Bernie Sanders also does as well. They couldn't talk Kamala Harris. Did anyone remember that? So like Kamala is seen as like being right there along kind of all these Democrats that are going for these extreme positions. And it came out to where
she's pretty extreme, man. She's pretty extreme. I wouldn't count her out.
Oh no, she's very extreme. But when they came and they talked about like rejecting PAC donations and big institution money and stuff like that, you had like Beto and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders and a bunch of these other politicians like made this pact like, yeah, we're not going to take any establishment money. And Kamala Harris was like, you guys, no, don't, not so fast.
Yeah, she's like, speak for yourself. I'm in California.
Right. Right. But yeah, so they go and do that. And I think it's super interesting because you got Beto, like he hasn't taken nearly as much from his campaign. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hasn't either. And it doesn't seem to be slowing them down having taken that route.
Well, no, I mean, not to sound like a right-wing person, but I mean, it really helps when you have as many slots on CNN that you want, as opposed to not. Like, you know, when you can get on, when you can get on Conan's show whenever you want, or Jimmy Fallon or whatever, whoever that other guy is. And it's like, you know, you just call him up and be like, hey, can I go on your show? Sure. It's like, all right, let's see Ted Cruz do that. Or like, you know what I mean? Like it's to say that there's no bias there, you know, it's pretty laughable.
No, that
definitely plays a role. I mean, especially when we see how much of an impact celebrities can make on these by giving endorsements and things. I mean, that's where the young vote comes from. People get their votes from Lady Gaga and Lena Dunham being told who to vote for. And it's like
her name.
It helps.
That's a good point, though. I mean, you have the media, you have Hollywood, you have basically every popular culture source telling you to vote Democrat. Like they really don't have to campaign that much, but they still do. So like they've got the campaigning better than Republicans. They've got the pop culture aspect down. Like, of course they can raise money on $20 donations and still outbeat the Republican candidate, because the Republicans, that's all they got is PAC money.
Well, and Republicans, like, I mean, to TJ's point, right? The Republicans have to pay for their exposure for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
Democrats are just
they've
platformed.
got Fox News about it.
Yeah, I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez she hasn't even won her seat yet. And how many late night TV shows have we seen her on? How many times? Like, I mean, it's unprecedented. It's like, you can't sit there and just be like, man, how does she do this grassroots stuff? And it's like, really? You need a roadmap?
Easy.
Like, seems pretty obvious from the outside.
Well, her early campaigning was all grassroots, and she didn't really have the exposure. So I do have to give her credit there. Like, her campaign strategy was fantastic.
But her winning was a fluke. I mean, did you see she flipped like 51 points, and it's like, but they had the lowest voter turnout in like a decade or something. I mean, she won with almost no votes. So it was like, I honestly, I don't think she could have pulled it off again if she tried. I mean, it was seriously like a fluke.
Do you really think that she's a shoo-in to win?
I don't even think she's running against a Republican. I'm almost positive there's not even a Republican on the ticket against her.
So Democrat, right?
she's no, she's not. She's definitely hard. She's a Tea Partier.
No. I mean, she was running against, like, that's what she lost that election to, right? Was
yeah. She beat the incumbent.
Right.
And for the life of me, his name is escaping me. But she beat the incumbent who was a Democrat. And like I said, in her district, I don't even know if there was a Republican on the ticket because it'd be a waste of time.
There is.
There is?
Yes. Anthony Pappas.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm sorry.
And I don't know who the O candidates are, but there are two candidates that have an O next to their name.
I'm sure they'll do about as well as, what's that, Cox is going to do out here in California.
Yeah. Actually, the Republican candidate doesn't even have a picture next to his name on the election results thing here.
He's nailing that grassroots marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna work here anymore.
Dude, and I'm sure that since the Democrats love their equality, I'm sure he's gonna be on Fallon any day now.
Oh yeah,
of course.
He'll be on Wednesday right after the midterm.
Right.
Let's have him on to talk about his loss.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like, well, it's like you said, right? They hit and then they become popular and then they hit the rotation because it's just a bunch of the media at this point is just like a left-wing, like Dutch rudder. It's going on. It's going through all the TV shows and all the news stuff, and they just pat themselves on the back and jerk each other off and talk about how tight they are, and they have everyone on all the shows. But that is their I don't know. I guess it's a good thing for them. Like, I mean, it is a advantage downfall because I think it's going to be the reason that when people say that there might not be this huge blue wave, that might be why. I mean, you sit in this echo chamber, like you said, you Dutch rudder yourself. You guys are doing a little circle jerk, and then you lose track of why people in Middle America just hate you. And they're like, "Oh no, we're not biased." It's like, dude, anyone who's not immersed in this stuff sees right through it. And that definitely has a negative side effect.
We're going to have a huge pushback of Republican voters in the term. This is exactly how it went before 2016. Like, people were polling at 92% for Clinton. Like, no way Trump was going to win. He was going to lose by 40 points at least. And he won. Like, and it's because these, Republicans and middle class voters and stuff, they don't care about the leftist circle jerk, even though that's what's like in the spotlight. So you're going to have like this silent wave of middle class Republican voters who come out in droves and try and fight back against it because that's how they feel they can do it. Like, the only way to fight back against the leftists is to vote Republican.
Well,
yeah. And it's almost like a Greek tragedy watching them just get hit in the face with this red wave over and over. Like, 2016 should have been a wake up call for them. And instead it's like they just double down, and it's like, I don't think that the Republicans are going to keep the House as much as I would love to see Democrats cry for 2 more years, but I don't think they are. But still, it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be this blowout that they're anticipating. And it's like they're just, I don't know, unless they learn from it. 2020 is going to be another wake up call for them.
I think Republicans are gonna keep the House for sure.
You think they're going to keep the House and the Senate?
I do. I mean, Democrats need like 40 seats to take over the House.
They need 23, I think.
Oh, it's 23.
Played it at the top of the show.
I'm almost positive it was like 23 seats to take the majority.
Jeez. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Democrats are going to take the House. That's a lot of seats.
Yeah. So if you ask me what the problem is with Democrats, I'm going to go ahead and play a clip here that embodies a great example of why, like, the Democrats might be in a little bit more trouble than they think.
So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right. And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, they have the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that? So, and first of all, let me just say this. Maurice Stollard is the name, and Vicky Jones, and they have been lost in all of this. 2 people who were killed on Wednesday that you talked about. They have been lost about this, and I know.
Yeah, so
can I just point out real quick the irony of Don Lemon sound like when he says there's no white guy ban, and you just hear like disappointment in his voice. He's like, "Oh man, there's no white guy ban."
I sure would like to see a white guy ban.
What?
And what is he even trying to get at? Like, is he be a white guy ban? Because he just said, first he said don't demonize people, and then it was white males are demons. Radicalized right-wing terrorists.
Right.
Most of them. He said most of them.
Most of
them. And let's be honest, by right wing, he means anyone to the right of, Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even know what he's getting at, because then he's saying, there's no ban on white guys. Like, so are you justifying a ban on Muslims then, and saying we should have a ban on white guys now too?
The craziest thing is
ridiculous.
If anyone said that about any race that isn't white, like that would be the end of their career, right? Megyn Kelly just got fired for bringing up the fact that when she was a kid, other kids wore blackface. But this is fine. You can do this. You can call for white guy bans. So.
Oh, because whites are a majority, so it's totally to be racist towards whites. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You can't be racist.
But, well, so this is the thing that pisses me off more than anything, though. Too, is it's like you get this whole rhetoric, this whole story, and people get into it. But like, you're starting to now like discriminate against people, like the very thing that like the whole civil rights movement was about. Right, the core premise is the fact that you're discriminating against people for something completely out of their control. Right, like you don't get to choose how you're born. Like none of us, like it's not like we get to push a button when we're born or when we come of age, and we get to decide, I'm going to be a white guy and I'm going to live in this neighborhood. You don't get to choose that. Right? We're just out there. We're doing our
Sean
thing.
King, but
Rachel Dolezal.
Caught me off guard there, buddy.
Sorry,
Trans-racialism.
Boom! Had to throw that one in there. Fuck that guy.
Right. Well, unless you're able to decide what race you are, that's kind of how it goes, right? And it's like it's no more fair to do it on one end than it is on the other, because people don't get to choose how they're born or who they are, and this just to sit there and to declare like, well, there needs to be a ban on white people. It's like, well, what the fuck, man? Like, come on.
How are you going to ban white people that are already here?
I wonder if Don Lemon's boyfriend was like sitting at home, just like watching it with his meal, and just be like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" Like, was there an argument? Was there an argument later that night? Like, bro, when you say white guys, you mean like not me, right? And he's like, "Of course not you, sweetheart. Like, of course not."
Oh, fuck no, Don. Oh my god, you fucking kidding me? That you really said
give me
that?
My fucking sandwich.
Did you really fucking say that on national television? A white guy ban? What the fuck?
Then he's taken into unknown territory. All right.
Right. Well, I mean, look, that can't be correct. I mean, I had to assume he's got to have some kind of reaction to that. Like, he is a white guy. He couldn't have been.
You guys got to be.
You
gotta be wondering what my reaction is.
What's that?
He had some high cheekbones, so he might have been Elizabeth Warren-ish.
He might have been like 1024th of Native American. So, Amos, what were you saying, buddy?
Oh, I'm half white, so I don't know how to take that. Do I? Which half do I?
Are you half offended?
I am half offended and half not offended, I guess. Ambiguously offended.
That's the world we live in with identity politics now. People actually confused on how to. It's like, all right, well, whatever.
That's true. Like, what other time in the history of this country is there something comes across like the news cycle, and you got to think about, is this offensive? Should I be offended right now? I think this might be offensive. How did this get past the editors?
It's very telling.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I am a lot of the other rhetoric. So you get that. Obviously, this is a problem. You get Don Lemon saying this kind of stuff, and that's insane. Another reason I think that the Democrats, and they might take it on some of these midterms, but this I don't know how far it's going to go, or how long it's going to last. So here's another clip of here we have another example of someone on the left getting a little insane. I'm going to go ahead and roll this clip. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it.
Coming to a theater near you. Coming to a theater near you. Coming to a school near you. Coming to a sports stadium. To any public place. These ghost guns are the new wave of American gun violence. You will see them around our streets, in our airports, our train stations. They are undetectable, untraceable. Forget about the TSA guarding the plane that you board. These ghost guns are a menace. The failure to ban them will mean blood on the hands of officials who have that responsibility.
To me, I feel like that guy he's so dry. He needs a hype man in the background. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Ghost guns?
Ghost guns. Forget about them. Okay, you won't see that shit.
That's such a funny. I love that clip. It's so funny because he's like, they're completely undetectable, and you're going to see them everywhere.
Right. That's pretty good.
Right, they're lined up about
TSA won't be able to find them, but we need to ban them.
TSA won't be able to find them, but you're going to see them at the theater, right?
And what's funny is, like, these ghost guns, don't they only shoot like one round? And then they're like unusable?
No, so I get a little context. This is Richard Blumenthal. When he was talking about the ghost gun, what he was holding up is a picture of an... Sorry. He was holding up a picture with an AR with a like a fabricated lower on it. Right. This isn't even the Cody Wilson ghost gun.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Pre-Cody Wilson. We're talking about just like a milled receiver from like a 3D printer, like.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like the rest of the gun is absolutely, like, there's no way in hell that thing's making it through any kind of metal detector. Right.
Although the TSA might not still find it. Like, there's a good chance.
True.
They might still miss it.
That's true. There was a little kernel of truth in there about the fact that just how inept the THC.
I mean, that's true. You could have pulled out like you see this bazooka? The TSA will not find this. It's like, yeah, we're on board with that one, dude. We're right there with you.
He's like, this is a ghost school bus. Okay, coming to a city near you. These are deadly school buses, and the TSA can't find them. So that
everyone else is going to see them,
right.
But nobody in authority is going to be able to find them except
little Johnny on his way to school is going to see that right off the rip. But these trained professionals here, these trained guys, never finding them.
Never. No, they're going to make it through everything everywhere, but you're going to see them everywhere, right? They're completely undetectable, but you'll see them everywhere.
Further proving that the state can't find shit.
You know, they can find me when it comes to audit for taxes. They're sure good at that. You know,
it was funny though that at the beginning of the commercial before he started talking about like the bad part, like I was like, heck yeah, guns that are untraceable, like fuck yeah, dude.
But they're not. Like that.
Sign me up.
It would have been sweet if like Cody Wilson was at that news conference, just so he could have raised his hand and been like, so are you just scared because you know we're going to use them to shoot you with it? Or like said something just off the rails like that?
Cody, man, he's really fallen off the face of the earth, hasn't he? After that situation.
Isn't he in prison?
No. He paid
what's going to come of that guy.
He stepped down from his position at Distributed Defense, or whatever the name of that company is called, which is probably the good decision. He needed to get out of the spotlight, right? He became a little too big for his britches, and I don't even think it was his fault. I think people are just really stoked on what he was doing, and the fact that, like, I mean, we got a shirt for it, right? Like, you can go to our website, www.think-liberty.com, and you can go and click on the little banner there. It'll take you to our Amazon shirts, and we have a shirt there that has the little one-shot pistol that he made, and it says the debate is over. And I really do think that that's kind of where it went, right? Like you if you can get 3D printed guns, like you're done. This there is no more debate, right? Yeah, how are you gonna? You can't do it. You can't do anything about it.
Well, you just ban them. It's simple.
You can, but that's like banning piracy, right? Like internet piracy.
Yeah.
They tried that, and how's that going? So I think it's
right. Hey, they banned weed, and I know about you. I haven't seen any marijuana in my entire life. I mean, it's just can't find it. Can't find it.
Yeah, drugs has officially won the war on drugs.
Right. Definitely can't find that in like a prison, where they control everything.
Yeah, but it's interesting, right? And so to get back on topic a little bit, we talk about like some of the tactics of the left when it comes to this stuff. Like to build on what Caitlin was saying, she didn't think that things were going to go as well for them as they thought. I think that this kind of stuff is the reason why. Like, right, they're so eager to push their agenda, and they're so eager to get their stuff across that they're going to say things that are like obviously not true. And they're going to say it and have no shame in saying it, right? You get this totally absurd nonsense about ghost guns that are coming to a theater and to everything near you, but at the same time they can't be seen anywhere. And this is clearly not an untrackable ghost gun that he was pointing at in the video. I'll include it in the show notes so you can see this ridiculous video too. And then here's another clip. This is Kevin De Leon. This is one of my favorites. I know TJ likes this clip too. This is a fun clip here. This is when you talk about getting stuff wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll this one.
This is a ghost gun. This right here has ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second. 30 magazine clip in half a second.
Where can I buy one of these?
Just the way this guy's talking, though. I mean, he looks like, honestly, like the way he pauses, it looks like he's like looking up and like looking in the back of the room. Like, is that the 30 caliber? Yeah, half a second. Oh yeah, that's what I'm being told. Like, he has no idea what he's talking about.
30 magazine clip. I love it because like at that point, like for someone that actually knows about like actual like knowledge about fire, he's just saying words at that point, right? That's just like
I think anyone with like a grasp on physics could know that that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how much the left like sucks.
You don't even need to know anything about guns. Like, you just need to know like math.
Yeah, I don't even have a gun, and I know that's the complete bullshit. I mean, the physics on that, the recoil, if you could shoot that many bullets that quickly.
It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. And I don't even need to get into Feinstein, right? Her getting up there doing her whole ridiculous thing with her finger on the trigger of a gun.
Just muzzle blasting the whole room.
Right. Yeah. Waving it around everyone look at this.
You see how deadly
rifle.
This thing is?
Well, I mean, let's be fair. The last time she held a gun, so...
Wait, hold on. You cut out. What was that again? Was it like a Civil War joke? The last time she had a gun?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a musket?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured as much. Yeah.
Joke ruined because of my connection.
It's okay. Whatever.
It's all right.
But but the thing is that like when the left messes up, like I don't know if you guys remember when Nancy started talking about, I forget, it was like right after Trump became president, and she just started going on railing against Bush. She was like, yeah, Bush is doing this, Bush is doing that. And she had one of her aides come up to her in the middle of her speech and like whisper in her ear, and she was like, oh yeah, I meant Trump. And it's like, okay, you have these people that are meant to save you, but when these fools get up and talk about guns, like you could just tell everyone in the room that's on the left is like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, yeah, is he right? Yep. Oh yeah. 30 caliber clip. Yeah. I heard that's how that works. It's like nobody. It's not like they're the outlier in the group. I mean, they are the norm. Like they're just like, yeah, sure, that sounds about right. That sounds scary enough. And it's like there's no one there to save you and tell you you're wrong because they don't know.
And people run with this, right? Like TJ was showing me some clips that were just hilarious. We had the I forget what is it, NBC or something like that had the look at how devastating an AR is to a watermelon.
Check out the damage to this watermelon by an AR-15. It's just a dude racking a 12 gauge. You're like, right. Oh boy, that's it's pretty special. And you get the Discovery Channel showing a bullet come out of a barrel of a gun in its casing completely. Oh yeah, I never thought I'd get stabbed in the back by the Discovery Channel. You know, we go way back,
right?
Man,
like I feel like that was one of like,
over.
Yeah, I felt like despite, like I feel like we could have always depended on the Discovery Channel just to be like, you know, it's just like the popular science of TV kind of stuff, right? They're just going to give you some documentaries about Egypt and nature, and it's going to be safe and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's see, but all right. So, not to derail the conversation here.
No, go on.
We've rallied against the left here pretty hard in the past, 45 minutes or.
I know we have. We really have. We have.
And I just want to point out that the right is pretty fucking bad on a lot of this stuff too. When it comes to fear mongering, I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean, look we've got a caravan full of rapists and killers and drug dealers.
They're not sending their best, man. They're not sending their best.
Yeah, I mean, it is the same.
Oh my God. And sometimes, like, I don't know, I come from a conservative family. So when I hear people, I have a lot of family members be like, dude, yeah, we got to turn them around. We got to shoot them. They're holding rocks. I mean, they're throwing rocks at cops, man. And I'm like, oh my God, that's
the same as bazookas.
Right.
We
yeah, right.
Take them down.
It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not worried about this caravan. And it's like, it's this fearmonger on the left and on the right is, it's almost like they're in competition now. I mean, the left got so good at drawing people out through fear mongering that the right was like, dude, you see how many people they get coming out? We gotta get this shit going. Like we gotta get our own fear mongering tactics going on. And
they sure did. Well, yeah, it is. It's bad because it's like, it's just where we at. It's just where we're at, right? It's just like rhetoric versus rhetoric. And I still think that the left tends to be a little bit crazier, and I'm going to attribute that to like some Trump derangement syndrome. I would agree. Real.
But if the right really wanted to win over people, they could just especially if they want to win over libertarians, man, you just tell them, listen, you want to keep your tax cuts? Taxation is theft, bro. And I'd be like, oh my God, he's right. I need to keep these tax cuts. Oh my, I'm voting for Trump. Let's go.
Right. But so it's
like, I don't care about the caravan.
What's really weird about it is, and this is even something that the Libertarian Party does, right? There's this battle for that demographic of like undecided voters. And I think that like everyone is like passionately trying to get them, right? So no one is talking in a way that is trying to convince the other side of anything. You know what I mean? Like at this point, we're so much past that, right? Like Republicans aren't speaking in a way to where they're trying to win over Democrats. Democrats aren't speaking in a way to when they're trying to win over Republicans. At this point, it's just like a bunch of people are arguing in a room together, and they're just hoping that the people watching them will think that their side is right.
Yeah, they're very entrenched in their viewpoints, and it's really like they're just trying to get new to come in. So it's like you have this room full of people that are so polarized. And it's like it's like a game of hungry hippos. Every time one new marble comes in, it's like they're just fighting. It's like, no, that new person's got to come to my side.
Right.
It's like, that's it. And it's like, you don't want to get anyone that's already on the other side. They're like, no, fuck those guys. They're the devil. It's like, oh, okay. That's going to lead to a really nice country.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those situations where like the Libertarian Party could absolutely be at an advantage when it comes to that, but they just do so many things wrong.
Yeah, and what bugs me? What grinds my is that like let each other secede from one another. How's that? And they're like, no, fuck that guy.
Sorry, you cut out there for a minute. Can you say that again?
Yeah, no, what chaps my ass is that when I'm still you have this polarized debate, and yet I'm the guy that just casually throws out there that, hey, how about we just secede and we each just do our own thing? And they immediately turn on you. If you ever want to see the left and right just join hands and just yell at you, just be like, why don't we secede?
Right.
Just trying to be the normal guy. And they're like, oh, hell no, we can't do that. We have to fight over the entire country.
That is the best part about like having libertarian ideas is you can get called like a progressive libtard and a conservative, a maggot or whatever they is.
Yeah, right.
Conservatard, all in the same day, right? You're like, well, I want to end the drug war.
It's the binary thinking though. I mean, people are so ensconced in this that they can't get out of it. I mean, I'll be sitting there and I'll be standing around with my conservative and my liberal friends, and I'm, hey man, the caravan's not a big deal. And my liberal friend will be like, yeah man, he'll pat me on the back and be like, don't touch me with your socialized healthcare. Don't touch me. I'm not on your side.
I mean, for the left to be pushing so much of the sort of non-binary sexuality and all that stuff. They're pretty binary with their thinking.
Well, they got to make up for it somewhere, I guess. But I just want to point out to the listeners. That's why I was like, I don't want you guys to think that we're just like jumping up and we're like, sucks, left sucks. I mean, the right really, oh God, they have some real issues they need to work out if they plan on keeping anything going in 2020.
Yeah. And like one of the biggest issues too is the fact that it's like, we're going to talk a big game about, cutting this budget down and cutting some of these programs, right? But all that it's doing nothing. But you get the military budget keeps growing and growing and growing, along with so many other things in the budget. So both sides are doing a whole bunch of BS. It's just that I think the thing that makes it so unreal that makes it easier to talk a lot about what the left does is I feel like they're going a little bit more overboard. I feel like the Trump factor really has people like legit tilted to the point where they're just like acting out like pretty insane ways. And it's more of an entertainment factor. Right. And it's clear to say we're libertarians, right? Like most politicians are full of shit. And I think everyone will agree with that. But when it comes to like some of the crazy shit that's going on in the media, I think what the reason that the left ends up coming up so much is because so they're very consistently insanely over the top.
Well, and it helps that let's be honest, they control the culture. I know the right likes to say that the left is losing the culture war. And I think that's true in a sense when you talk about middle America. But really, when it comes to like controlling what we see, the media, all that stuff, they have a very prominent, they control it basically. That's so that definitely helps as far as making fun of them goes, because they have so many more outlets to make fools of themselves.
Well, then you got like Elizabeth Warren. I took the test.
Oh God. At least, I was glad that on Twitter when that came, even the left rallied again and was like, listen, whoever do that, whatever politician said that was a good idea needs to be fired, because that was not a political win. At least they didn't like double down on that. We're like, no, this is a win. They're like, no, let's just ditch this bad egg and just move on.
Well, that's all part of that, the whole Trump problem, right? Is that's where that comes from. Is it's like, I'm sure like no one even gave her the advice to go do that. It's just she's like I'm not going to let this fucking guy take me and tell me I'm not a Native American. I'm going to take a DNA test.
Yeah, and then, that's the thing. One of Jimmy Kimmel's writers was right about that on Twitter, saying, "Listen, this is if you have to understand how Trump plays his game. That if Trump sits there and says, hey, this person over here can't do a handstand, and you go, yes, I can. Look, I can do a handstand." Trump wins. Like if you do the hand, like he wins. And it's like he's sitting there telling you, "Oh, she's not a Native American." You're like, "Yeah, I am. Look at this." And you take a test and you show it. It's like, don't you understand that he won? Like that's not a political victory for you, especially when it comes out at 1,000.
Why couldn't she have taken the test like privately and not told? Clearly, they were not good.
It'd be like I said, because whoever her publicist is or whoever her PR campaign. Oh my God, because they need to be fired.
Well, no, do you remember? So the person that she first had do it, or like the person that she first had involved with it, was like I think they were touched with the derangement syndrome themselves, because remember he came out and he was like legitimizing the study. And he was saying, no, like totally, man, she's got a significant amount of Native American DNA. And then later in the day, it came out like there was a bunch of corrections when it was like, actually, it's pretty nothing.
Yeah.
So she had that confirmation bias from whoever it was that, was on the other side of that test, who was obviously just as eager, to stick it to Trump. And then it just turns out that, as Trump himself says,
you are fake news.
Right. So,
and the media just can't help but just keep feeding them more stuff to go off of that. It's like, man, if the media just stayed out of it, they'd make Trump look way worse than he is. I mean, because Trump's bad on a lot of shit.
Trump makes himself look pretty bad, right? If you just kind of sat back and let Trump do Trump, he does enough damage for himself. It's the people that are like jumping over barrels to try and like, aha, like that's where, they're making themselves look bad. They don't have to. Trump will do the job for you in making himself look dumb. You just have to stop playing his game, just like you said, TJ.
And a lot of these issues that he makes himself look completely stupid with is like not even political stuff. And the Democrats just fall for it. It's like these are non-issues, like, you know, Elizabeth Warren's DNA and the way he tweets and the words he uses, like, oh no, Trump used caps lock in a tweet. Like, shut up. Like, who cares? Let's talk about issues, but nobody talks about issues in an honest way.
That was pretty fucking hilarious, though. Like,
it
the
really
fact
was, it was the best.
Right. To go on and see that, like, the president tweeted in all caps, I was like, oh, that's pretty great. I don't even care what he said, but that was pretty
just
great.
Peak boomer posting.
Yeah, man. Calling people horse face.
I can't with that tweet. I still can't. He says, great. The fucking horse face and a crooked lawyer.
We're gonna have to explain to like children one time, like at some point, be like, yeah, remember when the president used to call women horse face? Like, what the fuck?
Oh man, it's like not only did he call her horse face, but like that tweet was so good. Let me hold on. I gotta pull it up.
You know, although the left makes me kind of worried because, you know, I remember, if you guys recall, I know this sounds like ages ago, but I remember when in 2015 the Republicans had crazy conspiracy theories about Obama. It's like, I think the left has reached conspiracy theory levels that, I mean, Trump hasn't even won re-election yet. And it's like, if he wins in 2020, I don't know what's going to go on. I mean, they're already, I mean, you guys tweeting Kofifi or whatever and all the theories that came out around that.
Oh my God. I know a typo, right? So here's this is my favorite tweet of all time. Federal judge throws out Stormy Daniels' lawsuit versus Trump. Trump is entitled to full legal fees. At Fox News. Great. Now I can go after Horseface and her third-rate lawyer in the great state of Texas. That's our president. That's the president of the United States. Great. Now I can go after Horseface and her third-rate lawyer in the great state of Texas.
It makes me miss Bush. Like, he was a horrible president. God, I miss Bush.
No one misses Bush. Come on.
It doesn't make me miss Bush, but it does like at a certain point you just have to sit back and enjoy the theater of this whole thing, right? Like, it's not going to change. You can't. What are you going to get just as obsessed with it as the left gets with Trump? You just got to sit back and laugh at a certain point, right?
Well, yeah. What's that? There's that meme going around where it's like, man, you know, you make fun of Obama all you want, but his charisma and, you know, all that made all those endless wars and spending go down real smooth. And it's like, you know, I'm over here like, no, I actually love the fact that Trump is just tripping over himself, like on his tweets. And it's like, if anything, that makes the endless wars a little bit okay.
It is.
Well, it makes people pay attention more. No, like, you're right though. Like, it makes people pay attention more. Like, if they're criticizing all of his tweets, they're criticizing his policy too, and it does make people more aware of issues, even if it's in not the most desirable way. But that is one good thing about having such a crass president.
Don't you guys think it's kind of crazy that like his older sons look like they're inbred? Did anyone notice that? But me?
So weird.
I'm sorry.
There's that meme going around where it like has a picture of like Eric and Donald Jr. and then a picture of like the dudes from Dumb and Dumber. The resemblance just
not the guys from. You know what? It's not the guys from Dumb and Dumber. It's the McBoyles from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have to send me those. I'm gonna have to see that. So
I think I got it saved. I'll send it.
Yeah, I think I have it too. We'll go ahead and I'll include this.
You just used all the good genes on Ivanka, I guess.
Yeah, I'll include this in the show notes.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
That is fantastic.
Tell me they don't look a little bit like the
just
McBoyles.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if the Trumps were born poor, like that's what they look like.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, they were born rich, and they kind of look like that, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. It's close enough.
Oh my God, yeah, it is something else. But yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about there with Trump. But Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I did want to touch on that a little bit, though. It is interesting, right? So, like, Trump, I mean, he's absolutely terrible in his own right. And there's plenty that he does that I find pretty disgusting. But at the same time, like, it is okay. And I know this is like the most unpopular thing in the world to say, right? But like, a lot of people hate Trump, and rightfully so, for the stuff that he says about women, the stuff that, you know, that the tape that came out before the election, which was pretty terrible, and a lot of his positions on for the, you know, some issues that deal with the gay community. There's a lot of stuff that I agree is not great there. But my question is like, yes, that's terrible. Yes, that's horrible. But like, you talk about that, he doesn't have a body count. Do you know what I mean? Right? Like him saying that stuff. Like, does that, like, him saying that stuff doesn't have a body count? But we're going to talk about like Obama, right? So Obama never said stuff like that, for sure, right? Like, he was way better to not, like, who knows what he thinks behind closed doors, but he never said stuff like that. But Obama has a body count.
Yeah, okay, I would agree with that. If you mean there's, you know, when it comes down to like the rubber meeting the road, like Trump really hasn't done anything. Like, he's
an asshole, you know. He's a loud guy. He's super rude.
Though. Like, he's been carpet bombing the Middle East for like.
Well, if we're talking about, are you talking about literally like a body count? Or?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, they're all terrible, right? They're people like I feel like once you get in that office, you know, things are just going to be bad. But like before he took office, it's just kind of like the narrative was already there, right? Like, Trump was already like the most horrible person in the world, and Hillary is a saint. And like, the whole thing I was saying during that campaign was, it's like, look, Hillary has a body count. Why is it like John McCain?
Yeah,
like,
she literally she sank an entire country, an entire nation. Was just toast because of her. Like, that's right. That count for nothing? We're just gonna blow past it. Oh, okay, we're gonna blow past that. All right, whatever. Right,
exactly. Right, and like I said, like, yes, it's terrible, you know, that Trump has said the stuff he said, and thank you, Caitlin, for correcting. Like, since he's been in office, you know, it is different. But just at the beginning of this whole thing, like, getting all this rhetoric going before he was even in office, right? You're like comparing these people together, and it's like, yes, Trump has said these terrible things, but at what point can we have an honest discussion about maybe he said these horrible things, but you have these people that have done really terrible things, like really terrible things.
And what does it say about the American people that I can't tell you? I can't speak for you guys personally, but for me, a lot of my conservative friends, I'll be like, listen, look at what Trump does on the Middle East. And they're like, yeah, but no new wars. There's no new ones. What's up? And I'm like, what do you mean no new ones?
Right.
Oh, sweet. Right. Like, what? Cool, dude. Like, you know, he controls the military. He could end the current ones. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, bro. Like, oh. Sweet. Like, it's just like that our standards are so low that it's like a president comes in and doesn't start new wars. Wow, what a win. I mean, think about that. Based on, especially when these especially the right is the ones that want to be constitutionalists and Tea Partyists, and it's like, you understand that the Constitution didn't even want like a standing military, let alone like having a president just come in and not start new wars. Are you serious?
Right. And like, maybe something else that people should be focusing on, right, is like, maybe at this point we should learn that like a perfect person doesn't exist, right? And so no one's going to come out, like, everyone seemed, at least by the rhetoric that's generated by everybody that has an opinion, everyone's holding out for this perfect person, right? When like we're expecting someone's going to come out there, someone who, like I said before, is raising their hand saying, I want to be a politician in charge of controlling other people, and they're not going to be like a piece of shit from the get-go because they raised their hand in the first place and they were eager to control other people and be a politician. Right, like, doesn't being a politician in the first place kind of already give us everything we need to know?
Yeah, it requires being kind of shitty. So that's why, but you know, here I'm going to take us pragmatism, because I'm going to say that pragmatism is what gets you the no new wars sentiment in a culture. So this is what happens when you deal with pragmatism.
How dare you? That's another talk for another time. But I mean. You know, it's crazy, right? So at a certain point, people need to decide, right? Like, do you want someone that is going to get you into these crazy wars and be corrupt and get money from all these ways that they shouldn't? Or do you want someone that's going to, like, he's got some shit on record that didn't sound great? Like, can we have an honest conversation about which one of those are you willing to trade off for? Because a perfect human just isn't there.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's crazy how much the media and all the system itself tries to control your vote anyway. because they tell you, it's like, oh, hey, you guys have to vote. You have to vote. You guys see the culture where it's like, get out and vote, get out and vote. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to vote for this third guy over here. It's like, you can't do that. Oh, my God, that's a waste of a vote. You may as well throw it away. And it's like, okay, well, I guess if I'm forced to vote between these two really shitty candidates, I'm going to pick this one. Oh, my God, he's literally Hitler. You can't do that. And it's like, what? And then you're going to sit here and tell me that my vote's supposed to matter? It's like, come on.
Yeah, well, that's why it turns into this team sports thing, right? Because no one really wants, there's no convincing shit out there. So then you just got to kind of like vote for your team. So hopefully they can get majority and things will go in the direction that you would prefer, right? Knowing full well that everyone's just kind of full of shit. Oh my God, Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin.
Finally found that meme. We'll have to put it in the show notes because it's so good.
They're the McBoyles. They are the McBoyles.
I like the little Getty images down there at the bottom where it's like, oh, okay, no one's stealing that.
I know. Too much.
Like,
okay.
Fuck your IP. It's okay.
All right. Okay. Well, this was good. We're at about our spot. Is there anything anyone wants to mention before we get out of here?
Make sure you get out and vote tomorrow.
Yeah, make sure you get your participation stickers, guys.
Rock
They're
vote,
super
guys.
important.
Vote or die.
Vote or die.
Right.
Yeah. If for nothing else, you got to get those stickers. They're worth it.
Right. Amos, you've been kind of quiet. Is there anything you want to share before we get out of here, buddy?
I got to go see how many stickers I can get.
Yeah, you're going to go vote a lot.
Make sure you sign up all your dead relatives.
Are you 60? Exactly. Are you 60? Because according to Caitlin, you fucking love voting when you're 60. You vote so hard.
There's so many old people here, though. I figured they all vote.
They probably do. I mean, you have nothing else to do at that age. You're just looking to make a difference. And what else? What's easier than just taking a little ride up to the ballot box?
I know
it makes sense.
Hey,
they probably make a day of it, you know?
Yeah. Doing
Go
their
out to
civic
Denny's
duty
afterwards, yeah.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, on behalf of everyone that joined me today, thank you very much for everyone that took the time to listen to this episode. And on behalf of myself, thank you very much, everyone that joined, for giving me your time. And whether or not you like it or anyone likes it, we'll probably be back again, even despite the outcome of these elections.